First off, just what's the health of the team, and is there an update on Michi?
Yeah, no update on Michi right now. And as far as the team goes, we should be full go today for practice. So, yeah.
You had said on the radio show, you talked about things you've been able to work on in practice, and said you had a good day of practice yesterday. Are you starting to see any payoff from having a cohesive group together? I mean, with the exception of Michi, it seems like you've had everybody now for, a week or two, which is the longest stretch in a while. Are you seeing payoff from that yet?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I thought, I said this on the radio show, thought we did some really good things in the Oregon game. And really, we were in position, and this is where we have to take the next step. We were in position to push that game up, the lead, push it up in the second half. It's not to minimize the importance at the end of the game, but when you're at home and you got an opportunity to drive that from, whether it's 4 to 8 or 6 to 10, you got to be able to do that. And so we talked about that. We went back and watched, those kind of opportunities. But to be in that position against a team that was in the top 10 a week before, you got to be doing some things right. So we've showed tremendous growth. I think we're really, really close to, from an execution standpoint and from a, kind of experience, togetherness, chemistry standpoint, I think we're getting closer and closer to being where we need to be to, win that game. And we're working every single day to get there. Having good practice for this team is really important because we need that time. And you don't get a lot of opportunity, to have those type of practices, right, this time of year. So we took advantage of yesterday and the day before. And this team has practiced well, though, Adam. I really all year. I've been impressed with the consistency that we've operated with. So, and I think that's part of why we're seeing the growth we're seeing.
That was going to be my next question, is what is this team like in practice? And how does that couple then with when you do have everybody available, how does that enable you to make growth in season when this can be a tough time of year to really improve because you're playing every couple of days and it's high-level competition?
Yeah. Practice for us, and those of you that have been popped in, there's some urgency with the way we operate, and our guys have embraced that. There's a competitiveness and a toughness to, element every single day. And we spend a lot of time on situational basketball. One of the, kind of core basketball values of this program is to be your best late. So we practice that every single day. And sometimes that means, shifting shooting drills to the end of practice when we're fatigued and forcing guys to step up and make shots when they're tired. Sometimes it's as much as putting a time score and, playing that situation out. This team has practiced well, though, and I've been really just proud of how we've been able to establish that standard in year one, because that's something that, was really, really important, and I think it's important to help you grow as a team. So, as far as the health in things, I think when you have some continuity and you have everybody available, it allows you then to practice maybe some lineups that you want to execute during the game. When you don't have those guys necessarily available, it's hard to do that. Sometimes you're just trying to piece together two lineups to go against each other to play, versus being able maybe to put a specific group out there and give them some game flow or some continuous possessions to work on things. So, we've been able now kind of having with more availability and stuff to start to work on some of that stuff a little bit more.
You talked on the radio show about giving opponents points, like late in games.
Yeah.
When you are trying to work on that, I imagine late game scenarios just in general, it's hard to simulate kind of the pressure. How do you help kind of fix that? Or is it just something that you work on in practice and then they have to go through it in games and kind of come out on the other end?
Yeah, well, it's I don't know that you can fully simulate the pressure, right? You may have the losing team runs, right, or things, but it's not the same when you got fans in the stands and stuff like that. But I think for us, we've put ourselves in position to win, and defensively, if you look at last game, we gave up too many threes in the last 4 minutes, and the frustrating part was we adjusted our coverage, to take away threes, and a couple short closeouts, and just not executing that in that moment, and a good team makes you pay. Just seem to always make you pay in those moments. So we had a couple communication errors. When I say like giving teams points, I think you do that with fouls, right? Certainly there's going to be some fouls, but we're having kind of 3 to 4 fouls a game that just there's really no reason to commit them. We have to be more disciplined. Then we had a communication error that game that really should have been an easy switch that we didn't communicate, and they got a layup down the stretch. I think it was Bamba maybe was the layup he got. So that's when I'm saying we're kind of giving teams points. That's maybe not we're not making them earn it, appropriately. So, but you're 1 possession better, probably a different outcome. You're 2 possessions better, it's definitely a different outcome. So that's how close we are. And we got to keep, through practice, because I want us to do it enough in practice that come game time we're teed up, we're locked in, we're dialed in. Like we got to keep growing certainly, but I'd like to not grow in game time. I'd like to execute that a little bit better. So, but I think we're getting better. It's certainly getting better and growing.
We're talking about Devin being scouted, but I imagine that's a thing that everyone goes through, right, as they continue to progress. How have you seen guys deal with that? I mean, even a guy like Bruce, who's been through this, but teams have adjusted coverages on him, just kind of growing as you move up the scouting report.
Yeah, it's perks of being a good player. Perks of being a really good player, and you kind of earn that, right? I think what Devin's seeing is he's starting to see more crowds, and teams are kind of playing some of his specific drives. We keep trying to move him around to different spots to help with that, but that's been a cause for some of his turnovers and inefficiency in a couple games. Is he's just not quite reading, the help defense on the spin in the middle of the paint, or where the help's coming from when he's kind of in that mid post area. So we're working on it, simulating it, and practicing it and watching it on film. So because he's a good player and he works, he'll get better at it, and he'll get better at it quickly. But I think, he should certainly lean on a guy like Bruce, who's gone through it in this league, where you establish yourself as a really good player, then you start seeing different coverages and teams commit to you, and how do you adjust to that? And so I think all that is beneficial, certainly, to help a young player like Devin kind of overcome what he's starting to see.
When you took over as the interim, we talked a lot about the pace of play picking up and your style and that. This season, different guys, as you've gone through this first half or so of the year, has it changed? Have you had to change some of the things that maybe ideally you'd want to do if you had the perfect roster, or is it just needed to adjust at all?
I think, it's a coach's responsibility certainly to adjust. There's a balance of the adjustment, right? Adjusting to what fits your personnel best. And there's an element of learning what that is exactly, as your time together goes on. I think our pace has been pretty good. I'd like us to be able to steal another possession or two throughout the flow of a game. I think we're able, we've been turning teams over a decent amount, which helps. But our efficiency in the first 8 to 10 seconds of the shot clock the last few games hasn't been good enough. And so, that immediately is like, well, man, are we playing too fast? Are we, I think we need to play smarter. We need to value, we talk about valuing possessions better. That kind of covers shot selection it covers turnovers. And I want our guys to play aggressive. I don't want to be a team or program that's playing on its heels, playing safe, playing not to lose. We want to be aggressive. We want to play to win. We want to, that is very much, who we are. But we also got to, we got to execute. We're going to play smart. We got to have discipline. Spacing can help in those situations. All of those things play a factor. But been disappointed in our efficiency. And I think the two areas the most, as far as the early clock situations, the two areas have been shot selection and turnovers.
Wisconsin, they seem like they're on a real roll here. They've won 5 games in a row, 4 of them by double digits against Big Ten and Butler. Just what's your thought? I mean, it sounds like you're going to have to be really on point defensively. They're scoring 83 points a game. It looks like a better offensive team maybe than we've seen from Wisconsin.
Yeah, they're really rolling offensively right now, Steve. I think they're playing with more pace, than they've played with in the past. And you're seeing, they have 5 guys averaging double figures, basically 6 guys who can score double figures on any given night. And that makes it hard to guard because you can't key on, 1 or 2 specific guys because, they've had really several guys who have had big offensive nights for them. They got a great deal of chemistry that they're playing with offensively. The ball's moving side to side really well. I think we need to be dialed in. We got to be disciplined. We can't, this isn't a team you can send to the free throw line very much because they shoot really well from the free throw line. And, they're a team also that with that great pace they play with early in the clock, they play with some discipline offensively too, where they'll make you work the entirety of the shot clock, almost waiting, it looks like they're almost waiting for teams to make a mistake and then they make you pay. So that's where the discipline and the attention to detail and the execution of the scouting are going to be critical this game. And I think we've gotten better in those areas. I really do. I think we've shown some growth. This game will test us in those areas though, and we got to answer the bell.
Devin has struggled a little bit in the 2 games you've lost recently. Going against bigger guys, I think, is part of the problem. Like that shot at the end, he was giving up a few inches to the guy. It was a tough shot, but he had to take it because you were running out of time, I think. Just what can you do to make his life a little easier? That way he can produce even against bigger players, I suppose. What can you do to help set him up a little bit?
Yeah, we need to get him. We need to get him the appropriate spacing, help from that standpoint. And I think he's got to trust. He's got to trust his in between game. A little bit more, Steve. I think that teams are collapsing on him when he drives it and he catches it. In kind of the mid post elbow area. If he can get some space there, he probably needs to be aggressive in that moment with his shot. I think there's been a couple times where he probably deserves to get to the free throw line a little bit more, and so I like his aggressiveness. But also, what'll help him, and he and I talked about this yesterday. There are 2 or 3 possessions where there is a guy, there's an assist waiting for him, and he's got to just get better at reading that crowd. Like if he can read that crowd. And we can make, teams pay for committing so many guys to him. Well, now the next team will be a little more hesitant, to do that. So I think he's got to help himself in that regard. We got to continue to work for spacing and angles for him. And he's just got to play with a great deal of confidence. It's, he's earned the right that if he starts a game, 1 for 5 or 0 for 6 to stay aggressive, it's really what this team requires of him. So that's new for him. That's new for him, and he's got to stay aggressive.
The dynamic with Sean and Aaron, it seems like one of them's up one game and then the other one's up the next game. And I guess just your thought on trying to get more consistency with those guys. I know they're still young. And is there any thought about ever playing them together? Although the foul situation is what it is, but what can you do, I guess, with those 2 guys to keep building them and getting more out of them, I guess?
Yeah, well, I think yes. We need to look at finding some opportunity for those guys to play together, and we got to continue to get reps of that in practice so that they can get comfortable with that again. You know, we felt like that was going to be something good for us going into the season. You know, when we started those two together, they were playing some time together. Devin's emergence, has had something to do with that. And, but yeah, I think we need to find some time, probably, simplify some things offensively in that stretch. But, I think you are seeing some consistency. Sean's really grown in his consistency with the consistent experience he's gotten. Aaron, obviously missed some time and has had some good moments since he's been back. But, he's the one thing with Aaron, I think that he has done consistently is he's played really hard. He's played with a toughness. He's played with an energy that's been beneficial. But yeah, I guess to answer your questions there, yes, we want to look to give them, some minutes together at times, but also, I think their consistency will get better with experience.
When the last time we talked to Aaron, I asked him like the time lost, how that had impacted his development. He said, "I'm running my race at my own pace," or something to that effect. Where do you see him as far as making up for that time and trying to get back to some of the things that made him a little bit more effective before he was gone?
Yeah, I don't know if it's you can make up for it, right? But you kind of I think starting to see him get into a routine, get into a rhythm, kind of that he was in before, and so I think now if he can do that for a stretch, right, it'll help him play with the consistency, he wants to play with, and we certainly need him to play with. But it's hard to just kind of get the time back because certainly the time and practice and things important, but for him and his lack of experience coming into this season, those game reps, you can't get those back.
And since we started talking, Wisconsin's 24th now in the AP poll, so it's now 17 games, 7 of them against top 25 opponents. What is that like night in and night out, just trying to deal with, it's another ranked team,
Yeah, I like the challenges that we've been presented with, on a night in, night out basis, because I think it forces us to grow. It forces us to play with great maturity and play connected and play tough. And I guess you can call me sick for that, but I like it. I do. We've done some really good things, this year, and we've played well enough to have a couple better results, quite honestly, than we have. But I think, listen, it's year one for us with some young players, but I don't think we need a lesser schedule because of that, Adam. I like the challenges we have. Like, again, I will not apologize for what I think the standard of this program should be. And we're fighting every single day to get it there as quickly as we possibly can. There are no shortcuts. This is our group, and this group is getting better and better. And I like where we're headed. We don't have a lot of time to catch our breath. We just got to keep pushing forward. And if we do that, we will start to get those. We'll start to get those results that we should have gotten there a couple times. But we've had some really good moments, and we're having more good moments, and we'll continue to have even more against really good teams, against what's probably one of the tougher schedules in the country, and that's okay. That's what Ohio State basketball belongs in that conversation. I firmly believe that we belong in that conversation, and we got to get it back to that. So the only way you do that is by playing a tough schedule. Certainly, perks of being in the Big Ten is part of that. But excited about the opportunity in Wisconsin. They probably should have been ranked a while ago. They've been, they're a really good team. So I'm not surprised by that. I've kind of stopped keeping track of that. You kind of bring that up, and it makes makes me feel some type of way about that.
I want to ask you real quick. I saw Jeff Bowles tweet the other night that he was the first scholarship offer for Jack Sawyer in basketball. And I just wonder if you saw him at all.
I'm not surprised by that, not even a little bit. I think he might have offered both my sons already too, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you see Jack at all in high school?
I did.
And what do you think?
I thought, man, that guy could be playing on Sundays someday and should probably focus on that. But no, the one thing I loved about, I think you're seeing on the football field a toughness, a passion, and that was evident on the basketball court too. He was tough, and skilled. I think certainly skilled. So yeah, he was a good basketball player, but I think he made the right choice, and I think it's I look forward to watching him on Sundays, down the road. Certainly, we've got some unfinished business here yet in an Ohio State jersey, but what a special moment, for him. I got to see Sonny Styles, I think it was yesterday, actually. Yesterday, I just ran into him and actually recruited him a little bit. So get another guy who made the right choice. But I think what they've done, I don't mean to go on a football tangent here, but what they've done here these last couple games has been impressive. What Coach Day and his staff have done to, get us playing at the level we are playing at right now. Man, has it been fun to follow. So can't wait for what is it, a week? Today's Monday. They're Monday. Okay, week from today. So I know the Buckeyes will be ready, and I did see. I got to watch that game. I did see we had some Buckeye fans in Texas, which was pretty awesome. So I know we'll show out at the next one and hopefully get that finish that job. But Jack's been, you get to know a couple of those guys. Emeka Ibuka, spent some time with him. Like they're just, man, they got some good, great young men who have, faced some adversity certainly, but the way they've overcome that together, they're playing at a high level together, toughness they're playing with, it's been fun to watch. Saw him. I followed Ohio and saw him. I want to say that I think my first year might have been a senior year here. Yeah, I think I saw him. I want to say we crossed paths when I was here, but maybe I'm getting that wrong. But yeah, I was familiar with them. Followed Ohio basketball closely when I was down there too. But yeah, those guys made the right choice, certainly. But that basketball might have helped him with that little scoop, that scoop and score he had there at the end of the game. We'll pretend that basketball helped him get that done. Anything else you guys need? All right, appreciate it. Have a good one.